August 4, 1962. The most famous woman in the world made 3 phone calls that night. By dawn, she was gone. But here's what they don't want you to know: the phone records were destroyed, her diary disappeared, and 4 hours are completely missing from the timeline. Chapter 1. The Goddess and the Gqest. The world knew her as Marilyn Monroe. Platinum hair, red lips, that unforgettable voice. But the woman who lived at 12,305 Fifth Helena Drive in Brentwood? She was someone else entirely. By the summer of 1962, Marilyn was 36 years old. She'd conquered Hollywood, married America's heroes, and become the most photographed woman on earth. Yet she spent most nights alone in a Spanish-style hacienda, clutching a telephone that rarely rang with the voices she wanted to hear. The house was new, her first home, bought with her own money. No husband's name on the deed. No studio controlling where she slept. Just Marilyn, her books, and prescription bottles lined up like soldiers on her nightstand. But something was wrong that summer. Friends noticed she seemed paranoid. She told her masseur that her phone was tapped. She whispered that people were watching her. Was it the pills talking? Or did she know something dangerous? That Saturday in August started like so many others. Morning sun through her curtains around 11. She'd been awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, running lines for a movie she'd been fired from weeks earlier. By nightfall, she'd be dead. The question is, was she alone when it happened? Chapter 2. The Orphan Who Never Be Alone. To understand what happened that night, you have to understand where Marilyn came from. Born Norma Jean Mortensen in 1926, no father. A mother who couldn't care for her. By age 7, she'd lived in 12 different homes, foster care, orphanages, a marriage at 16 just to escape the system. These weren't the memories of a glamorous movie star. They were the scars of a little girl who never felt wanted. That abandoned child lived inside Marilyn Monroe her entire life. Every failed marriage felt like another family giving her away. Every studio executive who called her difficult was just another adult who didn't want her around. She reinvented herself completely. Norma Jean became Marilyn. Brown hair became platinum. She created the most famous persona in Hollywood history, and then spent the rest of her life trapped inside it. But by 1962, the mask was cracking. And some people found that terrifying. She once told a reporter, "I've never belonged anywhere." Not really. 20 years later, she still didn't. And the people who wanted to keep her silent knew exactly how to use that loneliness against her. Chapter 3. Love, Loss, and Dangerous Essayseries. 3 marriages. 3 failures. Each one broke her a little more. Joe DiMaggio loved her desperately. But he wanted a wife in the kitchen, and she was busy becoming immortal. Their marriage lasted 9 months. The divorce said irreconcilable differences. The truth? He loved Norma Jean, but the world demanded Marilyn. Arthur Miller was different, intellectual, serious. She married him believing he'd see her mind, not just her body. Then she found his diary and read what he really thought. Disappointing, exhausting, not what he'd expected. By August 1962, both marriages were over. But Joe still called. He never stopped loving her. Some say he was planning to ask her to remarry him. But there were other men in Marilyn's life by then. Powerful men. Dangerous men. Men who had everything to lose if she started talking. And friends say that in her final weeks, Marilyn was done staying quiet. She'd kept a diary. A little red book where she wrote down names, dates, conversations. Some claim she recorded pillow talk from the most powerful office in the world. If that diary existed, it would have destroyed careers, ended presidencies, changed history. The night she died, that diary vanished. Chapter 4. When Hollywood turned its back, Hollywood had chewed Marilyn up and spit her out. For years, she'd been Fox Studios' most bankable star. Her movies made millions. Her face sold magazines. Then they decided she was more trouble than she was worth. In June 1962, Fox fired her from Something's Got to Give. They blamed her absences, her lateness, her perfectionism. What they didn't mention was how they'd humiliated her on set, treated her like a beautiful machine that had finally broken down. The firing devastated her. Without work, who was she? Marilyn Monroe only existed on camera. But here's what makes it suspicious. Just days before her death, Fox was negotiating to rehire her. She was about to sign a $1 million contract. Her career wasn't over. It was about to explode again. So why would she kill herself on the verge of her biggest comeback? At 36, she wasn't washed up. She was just getting started. Unless someone needed to stop her before she got too powerful. Before she couldn't be controlled anymore. Chapter 5. The Kennedy Sion. Now we get to the part they tried to bury. In her final months, Marilyn had become entangled with the two most powerful men in America, President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy. The affairs remained shrouded in mystery. Some witnesses claimed Marilyn had relationships with both brothers. She sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" in that unforgettable dress at Madison Square Garden, just 3 months before she died. The whole world watched. The whole world whispered, "Rehook 5." But by August, something had changed. The phone calls from the East Coast stopped. The invitations dried up. Friends said Marilyn felt used and discarded again. She'd been valuable when she was discreet. Now she was becoming a liability. A beautiful, fragile, increasingly unstable liability who knew too much. Had she threatened to go public? Had she told them about the diary? Some claim she called the White House that final weekend, desperate and angry. Some claim they sent someone to deal with the problem, that someone may have been the last person to see her alive. Chapter 6. The Final Day. Saturday, August 4th, 1962. Marilyn woke late. Her housekeeper, Eunice Murray, was already there, tidying up and keeping watch. Marilyn's psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson, had asked Mrs. Murray to stay close. He was worried. Marilyn spent the morning on the phone. She called friends. She made plans. She seemed in relatively good spirits. This wasn't someone planning to die. Around 4:30 p.m., Dr. Greenson arrived for an unscheduled session. They talked for hours behind closed doors. What did they discuss? Only Greenson knew, and he took those secrets to his grave. When he left around 7, he told Mrs. Murray that Marilyn seemed calmer. He said she should sleep well, but something happened after he left. Something that changed everything. Joe DiMaggio's son called at 7:30. Marilyn sounded upbeat, happy even. At 8 p.m., Peter Lawford called to invite her to dinner. She declined, said she was tired. Her speech was slightly slurred, but not alarming. Those were the last words anyone admits to hearing Marilyn Monroe speak. But neighbors reported seeing cars coming and going from her house late that night. Seeing shadows moving past her windows. Hearing voices plural after midnight. Chapter 7. The Missing HOURs. Here's where the official story falls apart completely. According to Mrs. Murray, she noticed a light under Marilyn's bedroom door around midnight. She knocked. No answer. She called Dr. Greenson, who arrived around 3:30 a.m. and broke a window to get inside. Rehook 7, but wait 3:30 in the morning? Why wait over 3 hours to break down the door? Why not call an ambulance immediately? And why, when police finally arrived at 4:25 a.m., was Mrs. Murray calmly washing sheets in the laundry room? Marilyn was lying face down on her bed, naked, one hand clutching the telephone. Empty pill bottles lined her nightstand. Dr. Greenson called Dr. Engelberg, who pronounced her dead. Then they called the police, nearly 4 hours after Mrs. Murray supposedly noticed something was wrong. 4 missing hours. What happened during that time? The police found her bedroom unnaturally tidy. The bed was pristine. The pill bottles were arranged too neatly. And most suspicious of all, there was no drinking glass. How did she swallow 40 Nembutal pills and 17 chloral hydrates without water? The toxicology report showed lethal levels of barbiturates in her blood. But there were no pill residues in her stomach. None. The drugs had entered her system some other way. Chapter 8. The Theories That Won't Die. Theory 1. Suicide. She was depressed, unemployed, struggling with addiction. She took too many pills. Case closed. That's what they want you to believe, but the evidence says otherwise. Theory 2. Murder disguised as suicide. Robert Kennedy was reportedly in Los Angeles that day, despite official denials. Some say he visited Marilyn. They argued something went wrong. Her death was staged to protect the Kennedy family. Theory 3 involves the FBI and CIA. Marilyn had become a security risk. Her relationships with the Kennedys, her emotional instability, her diary full of state secrets, she knew too much. Some believe government agents orchestrated her death to eliminate the threat. J. Edgar Hoover had a file on her that was over 500 pages long. What was in those pages? Theory 4. The Mafia. Organized crime had connections to both the Kennedys and Hollywood. Was Marilyn a pawn in a larger game? A message? Revenge? And Theory 5. A tragic accident. Confused and medicated, she simply lost count of the pills. No conspiracy. No murder. Just a mistake that cost the world its brightest star. But accidents don't explain missing phone records. They don't explain destroyed evidence. They don't explain why so many witnesses changed their stories. Chapter 9. The cover-up news broke Sunday afternoon. Marilyn Monroe found dead. The world stopped. Millions wept. But behind the scenes, something else was happening. Joe DiMaggio arranged her funeral. He banned the Hollywood elite, no studio executives, no famous friends who'd used her. Just 24 people. Joe placed red roses on her grave 3 times a week for the next 20 years. He never remarried. He never spoke about her death. But everyone knew he believed she was murdered. The official investigation was shockingly brief. Police interviewed a few witnesses, accepted the suicide ruling, and closed the case within days. Key evidence disappeared. Marilyn's diary, the famous Red Book, was never found. Phone records from her final night were confiscated and destroyed. Dr. Greenson's therapy notes vanished. The original autopsy reports contained inconsistencies that were never explained. Witnesses changed their stories. Timelines didn't match. And anyone who asked too many questions was told to let Marilyn rest in peace. The Los Angeles Police Department later admitted they'd been pressured to close the case quickly. Pressured by whom? They never said. Chapter 10. The Legacy of Unanswered Questions. More than 60 years later, Marilyn Monroe is more famous now than she was in life. Her image is everywhere. Her movies still play. New biographies appear every year, each promising the real truth. But who's the real Marilyn? The frightened orphan? The brilliant actress? The vulnerable woman betrayed too often? Or the ultimate Hollywood creation, a fantasy so perfect that reality couldn't compete? She wanted to be taken seriously, but the world only wanted her beautiful. She wanted real love, but everyone seemed to love the idea of her instead. And when she finally decided to tell her truth, to expose the secrets she'd kept, she ended up dead. Her death certificate says, probable suicide. That word probable has haunted us for decades. Probable means uncertain. Probable means there's room for doubt. Probable means they're not sure. And if they're not sure, then what really happened? Final cliffhanger. On the night she died, Marilyn made 3 phone calls. We know 2 of them, Joe DiMaggio Jr. at 7:30, Peter Lawford at 8. But there was a third call, placed sometime after 8 p.m. Phone records show it lasted several minutes. Long distance. East Coast number. The identity of the person on the other end has never been officially confirmed. The records were destroyed within days. Some say it was Robert Kennedy. Others say it was the White House. A few claim it was a friend offering comfort. But here's what we know for certain: that call was made. Someone answered. And less than 8 hours later, Marilyn was dead. But there's more. Neighbors reported seeing a black sedan parked outside her house after midnight. Seeing a figure in dark clothing leave through her side gate around 2 a.m. The police never investigated these sightings. They were never included in the official report. And then there's the diary. Marilyn's housekeeper later admitted she saw it on the nightstand when she went to bed that Friday night. By Sunday morning, when police inventoried the house, it was gone. Who took it? What was written inside? What secrets died with Marilyn or were silenced to protect the powerful? The truth is locked in silence. The witnesses are dead. The evidence is destroyed. But the questions remain, haunting Hollywood like a ghost that refuses to rest. Who did Marilyn call in her final hours? Who was in her house that night? And what was so dangerous about what she knew that it may have cost her everything? The answers are buried with her. But somewhere in a classified file, in a hidden diary, in the memory of someone still alive who's too afraid to speak, the truth is waiting. And maybe someday, Marilyn Monroe will finally be heard.